Okay, this is Rise of the Tomb Raider. I just benchmarked it, and I basically 60 frames overall, 59.95, so that's basically 60. Mountain Peak was averaged 76, Sierra 49, Geothermal Valley 53. Now let me show you my settings. Oh, let me show you my graphic cards. Just to show you look at the RAM that's getting used. Of course, you have to see the settings I have, and the page file. That's crazy. Okay, let's go to display. 1920 by 1200. I have the DX12 obviously off, and I got full screen, exclusive full screen, and my graphic cards are 290X in Crossfire. I'm using 2x super samples, and I got video sync and of course all that off, and I got, let's see what else I got here. Let me back up. Now we'll go to graphics. Everything as high as I can go for an AMD card, because I know NVIDIA has a different thing for HBAO, but I can't use it. That's all I can use. But everything else is set to max. And we'll go back and back and benchmark. Starts loading up on the RAM. This part of the game is pretty easy. I don't see nothing in here that's really demanding. I mean, it can be, but another thing I probably will do later is I got a clock blocker. I'll probably use this to see if it makes a difference, but at this point, I mean, I'm pretty happy for what I'm showing so far. This part of the game is obviously really beautiful. And the RAM's already up to getting up there, almost 16 gigabytes on the RAM. And I mean, that's a lot. I just don't like the way it's downclocking some of the cards, but that's for another time. This looks pretty cool too. Of course, we're almost to 17 gigabytes of system RAM, and page files 20 gigabytes. And of course, the video card RAM is maxed out pretty much. So this is it at 1200. Not bad. Let's see what I got. And this time, the second bench wasn't as good as the last one. I got 59, basically 60. Now it dropped down to 56. That's okay. So I'm going to bench it one more time. Very good benches. Let's see what it does. I'll try with the clock blocker just to see if it makes any difference. I doubt it, but it might. I mean, the cards are getting used, no doubt about it. I mean, it stays at 90% above. It's funny, in DX12 I don't have that hitch. I really can't tell the difference in the game from DX12 to DX11, except the reason I like DX11 is that I get to use my crossfire system. But see how I'm going to try that clock blocker to see if that changes anything, because I don't like the way it does that. It could be just a fluke, the system reading it. But you gotta have a lot of RAM, system RAM, for this game to run. 16 gigabytes doesn't cut it. And I got 32, so I'm glad I have that. Thank God for 32 gigabytes of system RAM. Alright, that benchmark was even better. So my first one was basically 60, second one was 56, and this one's 61, which is the best. But I think that clock blocker might make a difference, so I'll try that next. Okay, I got clock blocker on. We'll see if that makes a difference or not. It may cause throttling, I don't know. But that's the idle right now. The clocks are staying at basically what they should be at 1000. So let's start this benchmark and see. So far it's staying at a gigahertz. Yeah, I'll let that slide. It's still down clocking, but not as bad. We'll see what the benchmark shows. And the game still looks good, but we'll see. Yeah, it's still not as bad. We'll just have to see what the benchmark shows, if it's worth it or not to use. I mean, it's staying basically at a gigahertz. Still dropped down a little bit. Ain't affecting the temperatures much. I'm staying around 70. Still using quite a bit of the card. And we'll just have to see what the benchmark shows. Is it worth use a clock blocker or not? I don't know. I would say not. I would say not. That's 56. So yeah, the clock blocker doesn't help. I thought it would, but it doesn't, because I did those 3 benchmarks earlier. Did a 60, 56, and a 61. So clock blocker does not help for the benchmark. If anything, it probably just makes the system run a little hotter. Alright, I'm on the desktop. I'm going to take the clock blocker off. Yeah, let's take it off. Didn't make a difference. I just want to show. Let's go to RAM. The most Rise of the Tomb Raider, I've used as much as 17 gigabytes. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, 16 gigabytes is not enough. And let's look at the page file. Give you an idea. The max I had to use was 22 gigabytes. So you're talking a lot. That's not a little. That's a lot. And I got a 32 gigabyte system here. So I mean, really, you really gotta have 32 gigabytes just to play it safe. And The one little caveat that I can give you is that when you use DX12, and of course you're only using one card, as you can see here, I did 2 runs in DX12, and the RAM use and the page file was a lot less compared to what the DX11 with 2 cards, because that's just the Crossfire require that. So it gives you an idea. If you're going to use I don't know about SOI, but I can tell you right now, in Crossfire, you need a lot of RAM and system RAM. And DX12 one card, but that's still a lot. I mean, really. And Shadow more though. The only time I've ever seen this type of usage is if I was doing 5K maxed out, and I'm at 1200, and I'm not maxed out, so no doubt about it. Rise of the Tomb Raider, out of all the systems I got, this is the most I've ever seen. And I'm talking about the fidelity of the game is really awesome. So really, you're seeing what you're showing, so that's not bad. And let's see here, my CPU usage was really up to this. Is an AMD 8370E, and I run it at 4410 in the BIOS. Max temperature 46, which is about 50 really, and some places it used a lot, some it didn't. This is where the DX12 was. Really not a whole lot of difference. Let's see here. Yeah, not much of a difference. Let's see here. This is DX12 right here, so let's go back to the top and we'll see how much CPU. That's DX12. I mean, you can see the spikes there. No, I take it back. That's not DX12. This is DX12. That's it, because I can tell by the clocks when I'm at DX12, it doesn't clock the other card at all. So that's DX12. In some spots it does peg the CPU, but overall I don't think it's a whole lot of difference. This is all DX11 here, but overall you really need a lot of system RAM. 32 gigabytes at just 1200, and I'm using 2 times super samples, and I can imagine what 4K would do. So I'm going to go back into the game and just see how much system RAM we use at 4K. So hang on. Okay, I'm back in the game. I'm going to do one benchmark. Just I wouldn't play this game at this because it doesn't look too good. Let's see. I will to display. Alright, now we're going to change this to the max. 4 times super sample. Now we really are going to be using a lot of system RAM. And of course the benchmark is not going to be close to 60 at all. And I'm not using clock blocker this time because it didn't make a difference in those other benchmarks. As you can see, the frame rate dropped considerably versus the 2 sample versus the 4 sample. So it pegs the cards pretty good. Surprisingly, I mean, frame rates are not great. Obviously, I wouldn't play at this, but System RAM's getting up there fast. I mean, look at the page file. We're at 22 gigabytes, and we're not even at the last benchmark spot yet. Woo, man. Frame rates drop. I wouldn't play this game here, but man, the RAM's not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, I'm using pretty high system settings here. That's a considerable drop in frame rate. I had a 56 as my lowest on those 3 benchmarks I did. 56 was the lowest. The highest was 61 here. And you can see it dropped a lot. It went from that to 41. So you're losing almost 26, 25 frames. That's a lot of frames to give up. So really, for the 2 times multi-samples, super samples versus the 4, you're better off with the 2. Have everything else on high, and you get a basically 60 frames average, so that's not bad. Alright, I hope this helps a lot of people. Man, you gotta have some system RAM, period.